So today is the morning of my bonding appointment, and I know most people call like what I'm gonna do getting their attachments on. And it's funny because I know a lot of people get their attachments on when they start, and that's not how it happened with me. They told me that after 6 weeks I would come back in to get my attachments. Hey guys, I am back and not driving this time. All of my video clips are really shaky and it's really bothering me. So I thought I would just jump on here and give you guys an update because these are the last few minutes before I have to get my attachments on. So these are the last few minutes of what for me has been completely invisible Invisalign, as you can see. You can barely see my aligners even up close, so I've really enjoyed that, and hopefully my attachments aren't too visible. I have 16 attachments. Luckily, most of them are closer to the back. So I'm just leaving work and heading over to the orthodontist. It's currently 1:09. My appointment is at 1:30. So fingers crossed everything goes well and I'm in and out of there in as little time as possible. But yeah, I'm excited to have another new tray list. But as soon as I'm done, I will hop back on here and update you guys, show you what my teeth look like with my attachments on, with and without the trays, give you sort of my first impressions, how it looks, how it feels, and yeah, talk to you guys later. I am back. The entire appointment took honestly almost exactly an hour. I think it was like an hour and 2 minutes, but I would say actually working on my teeth in terms of the attachments, that was only probably about 45 to 50 minutes of that. So basically I went in, she told me to sit on one of those like dentist chairs. She had me give her my set of trays. It was the one in the package marked with an X because they didn't want me to go on to that set until I had obviously come in and got my attachments on. And then yeah, so she had me sit down in the chair. She used a suction to dry out my mouth and like spray everything after putting in that like mouth puller thing. She had me bite down on one of those suction things, which honestly was probably the worst part of the entire appointment, just because it made my jaw really sore, because she was like bite down really hard. But as far as what she actually did, first she took this like blue gel and she put it on all of the teeth that would be getting attachments, of course after drying them. And then she rinsed it off. That gel was actually like weirdly sour. After she rinsed the gel off, then she put like this white, I guess, bonding glue on all of the teeth. And then she put, I don't know, whatever material they use for the actual attachments into a tray. And the entire time, for some reason, I thought it was like my actual 5th tray that they'd put it into. Obviously not, it's just like a template tray. So she put it into the template tray and then clipped it into my mouth. And then she used like this drying UV light to go in and solidify each of the attachments. Once each of the attachments were dry, she popped the tray out to check, make sure everything had bonded properly. Luckily, she had bonded everything properly the first time. It was great. I mean, it wasn't really that bad. I just wouldn't have wanted to sit there for longer with my jaw clenched on like that mouth sucky thing. So I'm glad she got it all the first time. And then once the top and bottom was done, all she did was go in with like a drill, like one of those dentist buffing drills, and she just buffed around each one of the attachments. She explained that she was just removing any excess glue. If you have really sensitive teeth, it might be a little uncomfortable. I have pretty sensitive teeth, and I was honestly fine most of the time, except near the really crowded areas where my teeth are even more sensitive. But honestly, the worst part was the sound, and that really didn't bother me at all. If you don't really like high-pitched sounds, then probably will bother you. Yeah, if anything, I'd suggest maybe bringing some earplugs or headphones or something, but honestly, not that bad at all. Like I said, the worst part was just biting down on the suction. But yeah, once that was all done, she had me go rinse out my mouth. And then once I got back to the chair after rinsing out my mouth, basically she just double checked all the attachments, and then she called the doctor over, and he came and sat down. He checked out the attachments and then had me, well, he actually fitted my 5th tray in. Everything snapped in. One thing I noticed is it's definitely tighter than the other trays leading up. And obviously that's just because the attachments help the trays to really pull, like grip on your teeth and pull. But nothing uncomfortable. I kind of actually strangely enjoy that feeling of like a brand new tray going in. It's like just pulling your teeth really tight. It's like a tooth hug or something. I don't know. I'm a weirdo. Anyway, so yeah, once he had fitted everything in, he actually gave me a little surprise. During my first appointment when I got my trays, the doctor had told me that I wouldn't be getting elastics until about tray 25. For reference, right now I am on tray 5, and after checking out my attachments and everything, he was like, yeah, I guess we can go ahead and get you started with your elastics. And I was like, elastics? You've probably seen, just from me talking, I have my elastics here. I'll try to get closer. And they go from a little hook on the tray here to a metal hook on my tooth. He had me put the elastic on, take the elastic off, just to make sure that I could do it and I knew how. It is difficult right now. I assume just like everything else that I've, gone through with Invisalign, it'll get a lot easier with time. But all things considered, I've had these in for about an hour now, and honestly, it feels great. I'm already used to it. I don't even think I have that much of a lisp. So yeah, if there's anything else that I can think of, then I'll definitely jump back on here with you guys and update you. Hey guys, I'm back. I just realized that I forgot to mention one thing about the elastics. So, when I got the elastics, the doctor explained to me that I'm gonna need to keep them in for about 16 hours a day. So, obviously I have my Invisalign in for 22 hours. So for most of that time, I'll also have to have my elastics in. Basically, he said I can choose any 8 hours of the day that I want to not have my elastics in, but he did suggest, obviously, to put them in while I sleep, because they're not going to be bothering me while I'm asleep. He did mention I might not want to wear them at work, depending on what I do. I work in a call center, so I am talking basically all day, but based on how tight the elastics are right now, I don't actually think it'll be a problem. I have no issues talking right now, but I guess all I can do is test it out and see how that goes. Oh, one more thing that I forgot to mention. Honestly, I might just be a little paranoid, but I noticed that on this tooth right here, you can see that there's like a little gap between my tooth and the Invisalign tray. But I actually think that the gap might be because the attachment is sitting a little too low on my tooth. I think I'm probably just paranoid, but if I compare it to the other side, it sits flush here. There's a gap there. So, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's going to be that much of a problem. guys, welcome back to my channel. As usual, just before ending off this video, I wanted to hop back on here and give you guys a little update about where I am now in my Invisalign journey. Watching that video back, I couldn't help but laugh at myself. Honestly, when I was just sitting there talking about how easy and like seamless it was getting my attachments on, it didn't even hurt, and well, if I am being completely honest, the first 48 to 72 hours of having my attachments on was Invisalign hell. I got my attachments on around 1:30, 2 p.m.-ish, and for the first couple of hours, everything was going really smoothly. Almost too smoothly. By dinner time, that's when the real issues started. So first of all, taking out my aligners was a lot harder than I was used to. I mean, it makes perfect sense. Up to that point, it was just sort of sliding onto my teeth. In the bottom, it was a little bit more difficult, obviously, just because of the crowding. But when you have attachments on your teeth, it's a bump, almost like a speed bump in the middle of your tooth. So to pop your Invisalign on over it, it takes like quite a bit of force, and then taking them back out is a whole other story. I did anticipate that it was going to be harder to get my Invisaligns out with my attachments on, so a couple of days before my bonding appointment, I ordered an ortho key online, and basically it's just a little tool that helps you take your Invisalign out. I will talk about it more in a future video. I was planning on doing like a what's in my Invisalign bag type video, so I will show you guys my ortho key and explain how it works and stuff a little bit more in that video. What I didn't expect is just how difficult it would be to get my trays out once I got my attachments on. It was especially rough for the top teeth actually, and in particular the teeth that my elastics are anchored to. So these ones, this one, and this one. My mouth was really sore because my trays were pulling on my teeth more than they ever had with my other Invisalign trays before the attachments. Now, to add to that was the fact that these elastics are also pulling on my teeth. So where the elastics are anchored, those teeth were being shifted, and then the elastic is also pulling those teeth like back. So the reason that I have elastics in the configuration that I do is because I have 80 to 90% overbite. So when I bite down, my top row of teeth almost completely covers my bottom row. And the way that they fix this with elastics is by putting the elastics from further up in the front to further back on the bottom row. And that'll take the teeth and basically move them from like here, and then it pulls them back. So that's what they're doing. Those particular teeth were actually getting moved a lot with tray 5. They actually have attachments on them, so that's anchoring points for the trays to really pull those teeth, and that added to the fact that they are the anchoring points for the elastics as well just made it a really difficult situation and a hard tray for me to get through at first. And if I'm being completely honest with you guys, it actually got worse from there. I had a really difficult time getting to sleep that night. I think I was awake until like 2 or 3 a.m. And having been in bed since 11 trying to get to sleep, it was really frustrating. My mouth was really sore, and then the next day actually, when I went out for lunch, I was in literal tears trying to take my top tray out to eat. It was just so painful. I actually found the first 24 hours after my attachments, there was a lot of pressure on my teeth, but not so much pain. But come that second day, that's when the actual pain started. So like I said, I sat down to eat, got my food, and I went to take my trays out. The bottom trays came out like just fine. It wasn't really that much more difficult. But when it came to the top trays, and especially like that one tooth, I was yanking, and I felt like I was gonna pull my tooth straight out. It was so painful. I did end up getting the tray out, and I was able to eat just fine. It was just
it was bad. Yeah, and actually thinking back to trying to get my trays out that first, like the day after I got my attachments on, it was one tooth in particular that was hurting a lot. And come to think of it, earlier on in the video I had been pointing out one section in my tray where there was a gap between my tooth and the tray, and on the other side there wasn't a gap. And I've actually come to learn in the time that I've had Invisalign, you know, from tray 1 to where I am now, actually in tray 7, that when there is a little gap, or like also I'll get the trays being loose on my back molars, it's usually just because the teeth are going to have quite a bit of shifting to do to get to that position. So it's not because the tray isn't the right size or like the right shape, it's just because your tooth is actually going to be moving quite a bit in that tray. So yeah, that sort of added to the pain of my tooth being moved, and it just happening to be the same tooth that the elastic was anchoring on. One thing that I didn't know and actually wasn't expecting was that the tooth pain associated with having braces can actually lead to nausea. And it's something that I experienced the first day that I went back to work after getting my attachments on. Around lunchtime, I got like really nauseous. And at the same time, obviously my teeth were really sore. And it wasn't until I looked it up that I realized it's just sort of like a normal symptom when your teeth are tracking or moving a lot. You can end up feeling nauseous. So there's that. Thankfully, it wasn't much longer before I was feeling a lot better. The whole ordeal only lasted about 48 to 72 hours, and then things are back to normal. Yes, my teeth were still sore, but after that first little while, it didn't really compare to the level of pain that I experienced for the first little while having my attachments on. And I think it was just sort of a shock to my system having my teeth moved more than I was used to. Like I mentioned in one of my last videos, I'm actually really happy that I did not get my attachments on until tray 5, because I was sort of able to get used to having Invisalign, having the trays on, and you know, how it felt for them to move my teeth before actually having them quite literally start yanking at my teeth really forcefully with those attachments on. And that's one of the reasons, and I think, again, I've mentioned this before, that I believe a lot of people have negative experiences or have bad things to say about starting Invisalign, is because they'll get their attachments on that first tray. And honestly, I can't imagine what it would have been like if, you know, going straight into the whole Invisalign experience, they were yanking on my teeth like that, and I was in that much pain from the beginning. And this isn't said to like try to deter anyone. I would recommend Invisalign hands down to anybody who is, you know, considering pursuing orthodontic treatment. It's more so just as a heads up, you know. I think a lot of people go into it thinking because Invisalign isn't like traditional braces that you're not going to experience some of the same things that people with traditional metal braces do, and that's not the case. From my experience, you know, it does get rough, but I'm here to say it definitely gets better and it doesn't last at all. So we've made it to the end of today's video. As always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to keep up with me on my Invisalign journey. I am working on another video probably for next week, just about what is in my Invisalign bag. That's it for today, and I'll see you guys in the next one.